Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to my June and July TBR. I am going to want to read a lot of books and I'm already overwhelmed filming this video, so let's see what I actually get to. I've got a few new releases, I've got a few books that I own, and I've got a few rereads that I want to do, so we'll see what we get to because this is going to be pretty ambitious, but let's jump into the pile I have. Alright, so I'm going to start with new releases because I haven't actually purchased these or pre-ordered them yet, so I don't know whether I'll actually have them by the time these months roll around, but we'll see. It depends on my budget, honestly, but anyway, I'm rambling. The first book that I want to hopefully read that is a new release is True Life by J. Kristoff. Obviously, this is Lifelike, the first book in the series, but True Life comes out in June, so that's why I'm putting it on this list, because June, July, kind of lines up. I can't really say too much about what True Life is, because obviously it's the third in the series, but Lifelike is a very steampunky, dystopian-ish world where we follow Eve and her best friend Lemon Fresh, and they are in the midst of entering this robot into this fighting contest, and then the robot loses and they have to go to the trash heap and the junk pile to go and retrieve him and his parts and try and fix him. And while they're there, they come across this boy who looks like an angel, and he's actually a lifelike, and he's a robot but he looks like a human. So it's about the unraveling of where he came from and the fact that he is now involved with Evie and Lemon Fresh. So he's also being looked for and tracked down, so there's that element in there as well. So it's a quest kind of story, it's a identity discovering kind of story, and it's filled with a lot of kind of cheesy lines and cheesy one-liners, but it's an interesting and funny story anyway, and it does have made up swear words, which I don't know if I like them or not. Sometimes I can just read through them and it's fine, and other times I notice them and it takes me out of the story, but it very much suits the world, it suits the characters, so I can't really fault it except to say that I don't know if my personal taste aligns with it. It's a series by J. Kristoff that I like and enjoy, but it's not one of my favorite series by him. It doesn't match my love for Nevernight, for example, but it's a series I enjoy, so that's why I'm chucking it on this list. The next book that I want to talk about is by Hank Green, because it's the sequel to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, and I don't actually remember the title, I just know that it's bright orange, so that's a fail. A Highly Improbable Endeavor? No, Something Beautiful Endeavor. I'm a fake fan. Anyway, I want to read that book. I loved the first book and I didn't expect to love it. It was like a surprise. It kind of came out of left field. I listened to the audiobook and really enjoyed it, and it's a first contact with alien story if you didn't know, but it's more fiction and contemporary with sci-fi thrown in, so it's easier for people who necessarily don't read sci-fi all the time to pick up this book and really enjoy it. So if you haven't read a lot of hard sci-fi books, I think this is a good place to start because it kind of paves the way for you. I think it comes out in July. I don't know if it's early July or not, but I'm putting it on this list tentatively because I want to get to it. I don't know if I'll read it physically or by audiobook yet, but we'll see what happens. The next book is by Amy Kaufman. It is also a new release, and it is the sequel to Scorched Dragons and the first book Ice Wolves, called Storm... I don't know the title. I have Ice Wolves book 3 written in my notes, so that was very helpful. Thanks, past me. I keep going to say Stormfront, and that's the first Dresden book, so it's not Stormfront, but it's Storm something. So I'll put the cover on so that you know what it is, but it is a middle grade series, so it's a middle grade fantasy series. It's about the Ice Wolves and the Scorched Dragons. They have an ongoing feud for more than 10 years, and the main characters that we're following are brother and sister, and they're twins, and one of them is a shapeshifter for an Ice Wolf, and one of them is a shapeshifter for a Scorched Dragon, and never before has that really happened. So the Scorched Dragons and Ice Wolves are supposed to be kind of like opposites, but obviously they're blood related in this instance, so they're trying to discover the origins of that and the ramifications of it, and also trying to stop an inevitable impending war between the two clans. So in the first book, Anders is separated from his sister Rhaena, and now he is at this Ice Wolf school learning how to do all of these magical things. He's also trying to track down his sister. It's a middle grade series that I'm quite enjoying. I've given the first 2 books consistently about 4 stars each, so I'm anticipating the third one for a good reason because I've enjoyed the rest of them so far. At this point, I am hoping that I have read some of this book that I'm going to talk about next, because I am pre-filming this video, but I have not started this yet, and I plan to read it in May, and it's almost the end of the month, so panic. But I am wanting to read The Wheel of Time book 1, and I am putting it on TBRs consistently because I know that it's going to take me a while to read, so it's a chunker. It's going to take me a while. The synopsis on the back is quite vague. It says, "The wheel of time turns, the ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth returns again. What was, what will be, and what is may yet fall under the shadow," and that's with a capital S. It's just a detailed fantasy. It's got a cool magic system, and I'm looking forward to reading it. Look at me go. I've got another sequel in this TBR, and it is Bloodbound by Patricia Briggs, and this is a book that follows our main character Mercy Thompson, and she is a skinwalker, and she can skinwalk from her human form into her coyote form and back again again at will. And so she's kind of like a werewolf coyote, but not, because she doesn't rely on phases of the moon, and that doesn't really affect her. She can do whatever she wants whenever she wants. And she works as a mechanic. And one day in the first book, at least, because this is the second book, I don't want to go into what this is about. I haven't even read the synopsis yet because I got this before I'd finished the first book. But the first book is about Mercy, and she is running her mechanic's shop when a young boy walks in, and she can tell by his scent immediately that he's a very new werewolf, like a days old werewolf. And so she knows that werewolves can be quite volatile, and she brings him under her wing so that he is not in danger and he's not endangering other people. Usually if a werewolf goes onto somebody else's territory without announcing it, it's like a whole political thing, then that werewolf is tracked down and killed by the alpha of the territory. And Mercy actually lives next door to an alpha werewolf, so she gives him a heads up and kind of involves him. And so it's a book about rival werewolf gangs. It's about betrayal and murder and some underground stuff going on, and I just liked it a lot. So it was a really fun read, the first book, so I'm looking forward to continuing the second one. And I think this will be a fairly good palette cleanser when you look at all of the other books on my TBR. I mean, I know I've got a few YA and a middle grade, which are palette cleansers as well, but this is going to be a fun time as well because I like reading about older characters too. The next book that I want to read is by one of my newly discovered favorite authors, and it is by N.K. Jemisin. This is The City We Became, and I don't know what this book is about. I think it's an urban fantasy essentially set in New York City. The back says it's a revolutionary story of culture, magic, and myths in contemporary New York City. So I think it's just a more detailed urban fantasy book that I'm going to really enjoy. If the fifth season, the apocalyptic fantasy series that she's written before, is any kind of indicator to her style and what I like, I think I'm guaranteed to give this at least a 4 stars. I think I'm going to really enjoy it. But also I know that her writing was fairly intricate and you had to really pay attention, especially when I was reading the fifth season trilogy, because if I read that with gaps in between each book, I think I really would have missed stuff. So when I pick up this book, I have to really be focused on it. Unlike the urban fantasy series by Patricia Briggs, I think I can pick that up no matter what mood I'm in. I think this one will take a little bit more brain power, so I've definitely got to be awake for it. And now we have come to the intimidating part of this TBR video, and that is Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. The 4th Stormlight book is coming out this year, and it's coming out in November, so I only have a few months to reread the other books if I want to be fully equipped to go into the 4th book. If I don't reread them in time, I don't mind. Like, it's okay. I will probably just reread all of them eventually after reading Rhythm of War, but I would like to reread them and reacclimatize myself to the world building before I read on to the sequel, because I haven't read these books in a couple of years, and honestly a reread has been on the cards for a while, and this is the perfect excuse. So I only have Oathbringer here to reread, but I have The Way of Kings and The Words of Radiance as well, but they're just at my house. So these are very, very big. Look at that. These are massive and they're very intimidating, but I know that I've given all of them 5 stars for various reasons, so they're going to be worthwhile reading, but I just hope that I am in a headspace where I can focus on them, because I tend to get distracted by Animal Crossing, I get distracted by watching YouTube videos, and I get distracted by filming and vlogging and all of that kind of thing. So hopefully I can make time to reread all of these. Alongside these and The Wheel of Time, it's going to take me a little while. So you might see these on another TBR in the future, because I know this is for 2 months, but I don't know if I'm going to get to them in this 2 months time, especially with the other stuff that I have to read. And I know that for August, we've got the Newts readathon potentially happening, and that is a continuation of the Owls, which I did in April, and there's a whole bunch of prompts that match the subjects of the classes in Harry Potter. So each subject has a book or two as a reading prompt that you need to finish, so I think I'm going to have a fairly big TBR pile for August. So I don't know if I can slip these into the TBR for August, because they are pretty big and I don't think I'll be able to finish them within a month's time, so I don't want to stress myself out. I might just try and pick shorter books for the Newts readathon. So there you are. This is my June and July TBR. It is pretty ambitious, like I said. This is not all of the books, because obviously I don't have all of them with me yet, and the bottom few are placeholders for sequels. I might have a few audiobooks on this list as well, so I want to read Dresden, which is like Full Moon and Grave Mercy, books 2 and 3 in the series. Hopefully at that point in July I will own a few more of them, because I recently paused my Audible subscription just because I couldn't really afford to keep maintaining it. This is what I want to read in 2 months, so wish me luck. I'll chat to you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.